Today, 99% of the population is asking for a new way of life because it's clear that the old systems don't work anymore. We want new systems that provide abundance for all of humanity to thrive instead of just a select few. Imagine if everyone thought the same thing for 1 minute. According to physics, it takes less than 1% of any population focused upon the same intention to spark a widespread change in consciousness around that intention. We are all connected, which is why every thought we think and every emotion we feel has a changing effect on everyone else. Indigo Minute is a world experiment that uses the power of positive unified thought to create real change in our world. All it takes is 1 minute a day to add your focused positive thoughts to the snowball effect of all our positive thoughts in attracting the changes we want now. Join us in imagining heaven on earth and just watch the changes that follow. Will you take the Indigo Minute Challenge? At 333, imagine world peace and abundance for all for 1 minute. During the 2014 Bulletproof Conference, I had a chance to speak with JIM KWIK, a world leader in memory and speed reading training. He's been a mental coach to leaders in education, entertainment, technology, and business for over 20 years. During this interview, Jim will talk about the real secrets to a faster, smarter, better brain and how to unlock your inner genius to live the life you desire and deserve. Join us in looking at some of the practical and powerful tools to biohack yourself into being the superhero you that lies within. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you for joining me here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and how do you personally transform such a kind of impossible thing into a probable thing, overcome fear?
I think with everyone who's watching this, I think we all have the potential to be a creative force. And so I think a lot of that comes from taking the invisible and making it visible. I noticed that people who are able to do that, kind of like Walt Disney would go and see all these orange orchards and just say, and he would take his team out and say, this is where the Magic Kingdom is going to be, this is where the castle is going to be in Tomorrowland. And he would actually weed people out based on whether or not they saw it also. Because I think our most powerful superpower, one of the things, is our imagination.
Right.
You know, our imagination is, Einstein said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Because knowledge is what is, but imagination is what could be. That's
right.
What I have such a deep respect for artists, because they're able to take something from their soul, from their body, from their mind, and express it in a way that touches people.
And do you feel that when you call upon invisible, that means that if by your ability to even do that, that means that potential already exists?
I do believe that. I very much believe that the ideas that we have, I mean, you do look around at everything that's around us. It once started in someone's mind, as an idea.
And a lot of people want to access these states and this information, but how do you motivate people to actually retain this?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, I did a presentation, I had to speak with Bill Gates, and we're talking about the future of technology and education and learning, and he says that's exactly the big challenge, is motivation.
Right.
If you look at the word motivation, you try to find someone's motive for action. And so what I do is, if you've ever, I train people how to remember things. So I teach actors how to memorize their scripts, or people to remember names, or remember lyrics or songs,
right.
or anything, PIN numbers, passcodes, anything.
Right.
But I think motivation, I create in my mind a motivation metric. And so let's say, from 0 to 10, I'll ask myself, how motivated am I to learn this? And then or this person's name, or this
right.
schoolwork, or whatever. And let's say it's a 4, and I'll say, well, what do I need to do in my mind to make it a 6 or a 7? And I'll kind of move up the motivation, because I believe that everyone watching this, that there's a success formula. If you want to take the invisible and make it visible, I call it H cubed. It has to go from your head to your heart to your hands. Like, if you ever affirm things and visualize things here, but never really acted on it, and you were inspired, but you didn't write it out, or you didn't do things, usually what's missing is the heart and the emotions.
Right.
The energy of motion. You need to charge those ideas with something. I had a martial arts instructor saying that you can't steer a parked car, you need energy, that's the fuel. So I always start with why, because reasons reap results in your life. If you want to reach your dreams, I know a lot of people, that follow you. It's just they want to reach their dreams. They have high hopes, and they're struggling sometimes. But everyone has this potential. Everybody. It's just we're not taught that all the time.
Right.
I believe in the society that we're in, with sometimes the media or there's this hypnosis saying that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or because you came from this background, or whatever it is. And then the problem is when you buy into those limitations and you fight for them and you use them as excuses. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Right.
And I notice the people that I spend time with have overcome an immense amount, whether it's anyone from an Oprah, just these people overcome, and through their struggle they gain their strength. And I think everyone has that potential.
And how important is it to be present here now to access this ability of manifesting the invisible?
To be present?
Yeah.
I think that one of the keys to life is just being in the moment, here and now. So many times people aren't, I teach people how to learn anything faster. One of the reasons why they don't is because they're thinking about the future, or thinking about the past, or they're getting distracted. And so, I tell people when I got to meet President Clinton, he has this powerful presence about him, that he has an amazing memory, and mind. And I think his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present. When's the last time, any of us where have been talking to somebody and not been distracted, not looking at our phones, or not looking over their shoulders to see who else is there, or not. I think a lot of people also don't really listen. It's like when they're talking to somebody like this, they're inside their own mind and they're thinking about how they're going to respond, as opposed to what's really being said. And I think you have to seek first to be, to understand somebody, and then be understood, after that.
And a great formula for success that you're touching on is connecting the mind, the heart, and the actions.
Yes.
And you do that with visualization, and then creating a strong enough reason with that emotion to fuel that for success to the long term, correct?
Correct, because I think you need the energy, that fuel. I think you could have an idea here, but information by itself is not going to change the world.
Right.
It takes action, but I think only people that act have purpose. They
Right.
have drive. I think everyone who's watching this and participating in this, they have to find their reason. I think you can only be happy when you're fulfilling your soul's purpose. I believe in the superhero mythos. I'm kind of like a comic book geek. I got really bad grades in school, so I wasn't a nerd, but it's because I had all these learning challenges. But I learned to read by reading comic books. And what I love about superheroes is superheroes have two qualities. They have a superpower.
Right.
And I think everyone who's watching this has a superpower, is discover your strength, or your unique talent, or your unique idea, or your unique gift to the world, right? And then, but just having a superpower, it doesn't make you a superhero. You have to use that power and share it with people.
Right.
You have to use it to, for your career, or for your family, or for your friends, or for the world at large. And I think people who are happiest are able to do that. And it's not always easy, but what helps to find your passion and emotion is writing the things that light you up, right? And lighting the things. But I think the other part is also finding the things that really kind of piss you off. Because what do you hate? And sometimes you can find your passion, your drive through the things that really disturb you.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
That angst sometimes enough, just like, I'm not willing to tolerate this, and I want to do something about it.
Right.
But I think the thing that really broadens people's creativity a lot, I just had dinner with Quincy Jones. He's saying you have to go to know. You have to go to know, and I think perspective is a big deal. I'm not saying travel to exotic places and everything else, but just get out of our own way, get out of our own patterns, to be more creative. It takes stimulus, so changing your place, doing work or studying in a different environment that you wouldn't normally do it, or being around different people, it also helps stimulate new ideas. And this wonderful thing about this is because it's different than economics. I give you $1, you give me $1, we have the same dollar. But if I share a brand new idea with you and you share a really cool idea with me, then we have two brand new ideas.
Right.
And I think that's the superhero way. The superhero way is discovering your strength, your superpowers, developing them, but then also colliding with other superheroes, kind of like the Avengers, the X-Men,
Right.
and everyone who can complement your strengths and your weaknesses, and then go forward and create something brand new. And all of this is possible for everybody. If people just understood more about who they are and why they do the things they do, everyone has this potential of genius.
And speaking of that, there's something called the Maharishi effect, where people focus on the same thing. It's supposedly supposed to increase the potential energy and impact of that focus point. So do you believe that by visualizing together with someone will amplify the manifestation?
I do. I mean, my personal experience is I'm a big believer in the mastermind principle, that when two people who have a similar outcome or similar goals come together and then magic happens. It's kind of cheesy, but they say that the team, TEAM, it means together everyone achieves more, or together everyone achieves miracles.
Right.
I think that magic, when two people come together, with their unique gifts and energy, that's the creation process.
Right. And even if they don't come together physically, do you feel that just the
I do.
attention on it?
I do.
Yes.
My personal belief is that I think that energy has no bounds. And so, they do these studies, the 100th monkey, and they'll have like monkeys on an island, and they're trying to figure out how to clean a certain fruit or whatever it is. And once you reach a certain level, like 99 or 100, all of a sudden monkeys on another island started learning it too, and there's no connection, right? There's no way for them to communicate, but there's this universal mind that maybe people could plug into.
There's a lot of times we want to manifest the invisible, right?
Yeah.
And bring something, a new experience to step into. And to do that, sometimes we have to kind of deconstruct limiting beliefs that we have. So what's a kind of a concentration technique that a person could use at home to transform a pattern from childhood that is limiting them now?
Yeah. So you could change. So we all have beliefs, and the challenge is like our life is a reflection of our belief. So all behavior is belief driven, and so you need a certain level of belief. My belief personally is that, the difference that makes a difference in terms of people who could take the invisible and make it visible, they look at themselves more like thermostats as opposed to thermometers. A thermometer is something that reacts to the environment. If you're a thermometer, depending on the environment as it changes, you're going to change with it. But a thermostat's different. A thermostat sets a standard, and then all of a sudden the environment changes and warms up or cools down depending on how it's set. And I think a lot of it comes through responsibility. I had the opportunity to spend time with Stan Lee, who created Spider-Man and X-Men and Avengers, and I was asking him, who's your favorite character? He was like, Iron Man. He was like, who's mine? I said, Spider-Man. He said, with great power comes great responsibility. And I said, the opposite is also true. With great responsibility comes great power. When we take responsibility for our life, where we become what they call a cause as opposed to effect, all of us, we all legitimately could say, we are a product of our genetics, we are a product of our parents, our family, or lack thereof, we are a product of the economy or the weather. That's one thing. It's another to be able to say, okay, this is where I am, and now I have the power. It's not even about a victim. It's just like, if you want to change your world, you have to step into that power in terms of what you're capable of. I think once people make that choice, then their life expands. And really what this work is about transcending. It's about trans-ending, ending the trance. We live in this massive gnosis saying that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you have all these limitations. But I think, once people get out of that hypnosis, they can see the truth.
And the only way to do that is to stop associating your identity with the thermometer.
Right.
And be the
thermostat.
The awareness.
Exactly. Like, for example, in 1954, Roger Bannister did something that no one throughout human history could do. He tried to do it thousands of years before it. He ran the 4-minute mile. And so what happened, if you saw the interview, how he was able to do it is he would visualize himself, because he would visualize himself crossing the line, the finish line, and looking at the clock, and it says 3:59. And he knew it had to happen here before it happened out here. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference that makes the difference. And so he would visualize it, and then he was able to do it. Now that was interesting, but what I thought was even more interesting is for thousands of years, no one could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. All of a sudden, he does it. And then what happens after that? Everyone starts running for. Now, there wasn't a lot of advancement in shoe technology or supplementation or training methods. Is the change in belief. Right? Because you know what the belief was back then? The belief was that if I ran a mile in less than 4 minutes, my heart would explode in my chest. And I'm a runner too.
Right.
That wouldn't keep me from running 4 miles. That would keep me from ever jogging ever. Right, so beliefs. That
if
makes
you were
a
to
difference.
believe that.
Right, and so that's the thing. So visualizing the end result, that it has to happen here, because this is the power. They took, university recently took 3 groups of people, had them just do free throws, basketball, right? See how well they did. And then when they're done, A, B, and C, they said, okay, A, I want you to practice every day for an hour for the next month. Group B, don't practice at all. And group C, I want you to practice, but don't touch a basketball, just practice in your head. Practice for 1 hour a day, successfully throwing balls into the hoop. At the end of 30 days, they bring it back. Group A improved 27%, because they practice.
Right.
Practice makes, progress.
Right.
Group B, no change at all because they didn't practice.
Right.
Group C, though, they did almost 25%, 1% less than people who actually got dressed, put on their uniforms and practice out there, because the mind doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagine and and something that's real. They've had prisoners of war come back where they were bored, they were in a prison cell, and they had nothing to do, so they would walk themselves in their mind and do like 4 hours of playing golf, like literally
Right.
every single step.
Yeah.
And then when they got back home and they were released, they played golf and they were as good, if not better than before,
Right.
because the mind doesn't know the difference. So
Right.
I would say if there's one superpower, it's your power of imagination.
Yes.
We all have that.
Right.
It's like a God-given gift that we have.
Right. That's amazing. And is there anything that you'd like to say that we haven't covered, and maybe some information about your program and things that
If
people
people,
can look out for?
you know, my passion is helping people learn at their best, right? To help them discover the superhero inside of them. So if people we have free blogs everywhere. So quicklearning.com, they can learn about speed reading and memory, get free tips on there, kwiklearning.com. And the other site that we have is Superhero U, YOU, and it's all about how to just live your best life. So when you come home and at the end of the day, family or friends ask you how your day was, and you're like, wow, I crushed it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's about stepping in that superhero version of yourself. And of course, you can find me on Facebook. And I have this great, my cover photo for Facebook, if you go to JIM KWIK, JIMKWIK, is a picture of me in the cast of the X-Men.
Wow.
With Hugh Jackman and
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence and Halle Berry. And there's a story there that I think might inspire some people.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk soon.
I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you.